We're gonna talk about the death of the sin community, y'all. The reason why it's dead. This is part one in the series of videos I'm gonna be doing, man. Part one, I'm gonna be discussing the roles of the community as well as the boundaries of this quote-unquote simulation community, man. SNN, Simulation News Network. Check in with me, man. Yeah, what's up, man? I had to let that beat ride for a minute. One of my favorite songs of all time, you know what I'm saying? Project Pat 90 Days. But anyway, man, on to today's video. And this video, man, for all the people that rock with me, you know what I'm saying, as far as Simhead United is concerned, I want people to see this video and I want people to share it that call themselves a part of this so-called community, so it can be a better understanding of why I'm saying what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? And I think after the end of this video, after the end of this series, because I plan on doing several more, you know what I'm saying, based on other topics, it's gonna be very informative of what I'm explaining as it pertains to quote unquote sim, or you know, whatever you want to call it. Me myself, based on the conclusions that I've came up with after several days of deliberating as far as where I stand with this quote-unquote community, I now consider myself a football fundamentalist. Nothing more, nothing less, as it pertains to video game football. You know what I'm saying? But on to today's video, man. I want to share some things with y'all in regards to what I'm trying to explain when I say this community is dead. And it's all focused on what we consider this community to be. Now, of course, you're gonna have people that are gonna make their own opinion. You know, that's the key word nowadays, opinion. But I'm gonna get a little bit more deeper than that as I go along with this series of how I feel about that. But people are gonna take this video in the way they want to take it, but I know that the people that understand what this whole movement was supposed to be are pretty much understand this video. But this is the first of many, like I said. In this video, man, I'm gonna discuss first. I'm gonna try to clear out what a community is as far as what we trying to do with this whole sin community thing, and then I'm gonna take certain characteristics of what this community was and what it is now. So before you can do anything else, before you can try to sit down at the table and discuss these matters, you gotta ask yourself, what is community? You know what I'm saying? Is it my community or is it our community? How can you differentiate the two when there's so many opinions out there? You know what I'm saying? And you know, communities are varied by its individual members. That's true. You know what I'm saying? No doubt about it. But at the end of the day, the community was set on a base principle. And that's what everybody has to get into their mind before you can move forward. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I'm going to prove that in this video. Now take my words as how I feel first and foremost, but then listen to my words and differentiate what I'm saying between what you're saying and come up with a definitive answer. You know what I'm saying? So let's get the video started, man. Characteristics of a community. You know what I'm saying? While communities are as individual as their members, you know what I'm saying, they usually organized or built around a set of principles that allow the members to participate in the community. You know what I'm saying? This is something that I want everybody to understand as far as how this community was formed. You know what I'm saying? The origins. We always got to go back to the origins of how something happened before we can understand what it is. You know what I'm saying? And the first characteristic of that community, in my opinion, was the access of it. The access that we as a community had to the videos that were created. When Apex started making his videos, it was a way for him to rant. You know, he'll probably tell you that first and foremost. You know, he didn't take it for nothing else than that. But because people with like minds as far as football fundamentals are concerned understood what Apex was saying, he gathered a following based on that. And you know, so we had unlimited access to his videos because it's YouTube. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. That's the access. In general, it's YouTube. So we had access to an outlet that allowed us to view what we were thinking. You understand what I'm saying? The second characteristic, communication. It got to a certain point where we were able to communicate with one another, whether it been us being organized in our dialogue via in the comment section, via Skype, whatever the case may have been. The communication led to better dialogue. The communication led to a better understanding, and the communication ultimately led to a definitive version of what simulation was. You know what I'm saying? The third characteristic of the community was the presence. You know what I'm saying? Us as a community, we have to have some sort of relationship with the other members of the community. Now, what I mean by having a relationship, meaning collaborating on videos, which was done in the past, doing dual cons, things of that nature. We had got to a point where our presence was being felt, not on a mainstream level, but our presence was being felt in the eyes of everybody else that was watching the videos. And that's how ultimately the Sin community was formed, because we felt that presence. Even on the points where folks was beefing in videos, but the beef was true and just. It was based on a breakdown video. It was anything. You know what I'm saying? This is what I saw. This is what we see. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it was a definitive answer. You know what I'm saying? And that's how the presence was felt in the eyes of the rest of the people in the community via the comment section. The third characteristic, participation. You know what I'm saying? You must have some sort of involvement within this community. Now, you could do that in any type of way. Comment section, video response. Way back when it was Operation Sports Forum, EA Sports Forum. It was so many ways that we were participating in how we felt as a community that ultimately brought us together. You know what I'm saying? The community needs a way of defining itself as a community. How did we ultimately become a sin community? The word sin wasn't being thrown around in the beginning. It was formed based on a definition of how we viewed ourselves. You know what I'm saying? That's how the whole sin community was brought about. That was the whole definition of the sin community. We were defining ourselves as a group of people that believed in the fundamentals as it pertains to Madden NCAA. That was it. We had the videos to prove this. All you gotta do is go into the archives of Apex. Well, you can't do that now, but go into the archives of the CM Standard, Smitty, CM Metball Critic, Azure Effect. Go into these archives, and it will clearly show you what I'm talking about when I say defining ourselves as a community. You know what I'm saying? The community has to have an agreement between all of the members of the community about what the community does and how it is to be done. You know what I'm saying? Let me say that again. I wrote that down, man, because it was a little bit too deep for some of y'all folk. So I'm gonna say it again. And then it'll also be up on, I got all this, it's like a PowerPoint thing I'm doing. So, you know, pay attention, take your notes. An agreement between all the members about what the community does and how it is to be done. You know what I'm saying? It's not about what we think should be done. It's not how we want it to be done. It's how it's going to be. You know what I'm saying? What's an example of this? Save 65. What's an example of this? Showing you the flaws in the game, showing you how it's supposed to be in real life, showing you the game that came closest to the standard, which was for a complete game, NFL 2K5, for more authentic as far as gameplay, APF 2K8, and ultimately coming to a conclusion as to why we won't partake in purchasing and playing this game. All the rules was laid out. You know what I'm saying? All these principles can be described as characteristics of this community. You know, it is what it is. Take it for what it's worth. That's how I feel about it, and I'm gonna prove to you in the next set of how the roles of the community affected ultimately who we were.
Hi, I'm PJ Bland. It took me years to create the perfect menu. My entrees will fill you up. How's everything? Average, but there's a lot of it. Good. With hundreds of restaurants, you're never far from a bland dinner. How's your meal?
Not bad. Not good, but not bad.
Thanks. If you get filled up, you don't need a doggy bag. Just put it in your pocket and off you go.
Hey, PJ, my meal has no taste.
You're welcome. PJ Bland's, stuff to eat.
Hey, if it ain't came to y'all yet, man, trust me, you'll get it in a minute. You'll get it in a minute. Just let it sink in. Let it sink in. But on to the next segment of this video. I want to talk about the roles in which this community was identified as far as certain people that had influence over the community, so to speak. I want to talk about that and talk about how important it was to having the community having an identity, so to speak. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to get on to this, and like I said, get out your paper, get out your pen, and take some notes, man, because a lot of this stuff, man, y'all going to have to look back at it and basically implement it into what y'all doing or how y'all feel. But anyway, let's talk about roles, man. You know what I'm saying? What's the roles of a lot of people? And include yourself in this, because everybody has a role when it comes to a community. So include yourself. If you don't make videos, I'm pretty sure you copy. To provide, you know what I'm saying, to have a community, you gotta provide some type of service to the rest of the members in the community. Now, how do you provide this service? You do it in a number of ways. This goes back to one of the characteristics of community: participation. You can make videos. You can make video responses. You can create threads and forums. You can comment in a video. You can and comment in the videos, and a lot of people know sparks dialogue. A lot of different ways that you can provide services for the members of your community, the members of the same community. A lot of people did this. But what makes it a service? That's my question. What makes it a service in anything that you do as a participant in the same community? I'll tell you how it's a service. It's only a service whether you comment, whether you make a video, whether you post a thread, whatever. It's only a service if it contains information about what the definitive version of what your community is talking about. If that make any sense. If you post in a comment, comments got to be based on what we are talking about. If you make a video, it's got to be based on what we are talking about. Not what you think, not what you want to see, not what's popular, not what's against the grain. It's got to be common knowledge between all the people in the community. What exactly are you talking about? That's the service when it comes to anything that you do on YouTube, anything that you do on any kind of website when it comes to the same community. You know what I'm saying? For people that make videos, for people that comment on videos, do whatever. Everybody has a skill. Everybody has some type of resource that they bring to the table. What's the skill? What's the resource as it pertains to the senior community? Knowledge of the fundamental football aspect of what we are talking about when we talk about the football video game. Everybody has that skill. Everybody has that resource based on the fact that we all came together on this common mindset. Think about that now. Now we're going back to the origins of how this community was formed. Think about it. Now, first I said you have to provide the service. It has to be in the confines of talking about football fundamentals. That's the service. The skill is you talking about whatever the service is. That's the skill, which is fundamental football, and talking about it and giving the service to the people. And this is the kicker right here. This I want everybody to write this down. I'm gonna stop for a second. I'm gonna give y'all a quick second. If you haven't did it already, get your notepad out. Get your pencil, get your crayon, your Sharpie, whatever. This the one that everybody got to pay attention to. You got to. As far as the roles are concerned, different roles for the community. I don't care what your role is in this community. This is what you have to do. You have to maintain the community. How do you do that? To a standard that can be used by all members. Let me say that again. You have to maintain the community to a standard that can be used by all members. How do you do this? Okay, we know you have a skill. Your skill is football fundamental, and bringing forth knowledge about it. What's the service? Making a video about your skill, making posting a comment about your skill, posting a thread in various websites about your skill. Well, who's to say that your knowledge is not better than the next person? Who's to say that you're wrong, but I'm right? Who's to say it? The standard is to say it. That's the only way that you are going to have a definitive version of what you believe this community should be. A community is not a community until that standard is set in stone. Do you understand what I'm talking about? I mean, it's as simple as that. I can end this video right here. I'm not going to do it because I got a lot of stuff I want to cover. I'm not going to do it, but I can end the video right here. You have to have a standard. That's the only way to maintain the structure and maintain the mold as far as this community is concerned. We can't have everybody going this way and some more people going that way, and all based on the fact that this is what I believe and this is what you believe. Because this is what I believe and you don't believe it, screw you. And I'm gonna get more into that later, but let me continue. You have to have a balance in the needs of the members. Now let me explain that further. As it pertains to the senior community, a lot of people joined the community because they were sick and tired of EA and the product that was given to them, and then went and played All Pro. Example of this, Big Play Killer. Big Play Killer with his leagues and everything that he did for people that wanted that and needed that as a source of them holding on to what they thought this community was. Big Play Killer provided that, and it was all, you know, in the stronghold of what we believed Sim was. You know what I'm saying? That was the need. That's one example. You know, that's a short one, and you know that's the end of that. At the end of the day, when we talk about roles, everybody has a role in this community. Nobody should feel like I have to follow this person based on he's the most popular. I shouldn't have to follow this person based on, you know, it's unpopular for me not to. You should be following the person based on whatever need or necessity that you have as it pertains to this community. If you have a need to be in the All-Pro League or whatever it was, you could have went to Big Play Killer. If you had a need to compare breakdowns as far as what you were saying, Ryan Moody gave you that. It was so many outlets that we had within the grand scheme of things, which was the sin community. Everything was laid out there for you, and you didn't have to be frustrated. You didn't have to be accused by partaking in any of these ventures, because everybody's role is important. But at the end of the day, all these roles conformed into one, and that was the fundamental aspect of what we were talking about as it pertains to Madden and NCAA.
Truth Chasers, yo, what up? Gideon here, talking about dynamic or static block engagement. And this is a rebuttal on the beef fights and everything, just trying to clear the air for everybody else as well about what the heck I'm talking about when I say dynamic or static block engagement.
Alright, man, on to my last segment of this video, discussing the characteristics of the formation of this community and ultimately the death of the community, which I'll get to later on in the series. Before I get into any of that, let me just say, shouts out to everybody. It's been a barrage of videos. People are finally standing up for what they believe in. They finally standing up in disgust of the product that's being put out. They finally standing up against the glorified middleman. Y'all know who y'all are. You know what I'm saying? It's, I sense a tidal wave that's about to happen. I don't know when, I don't know how, but I sense it. And later on in the future, I want to make a proposal to everybody that's down with what I say, down with my cause. I'm not gonna do it now. I'm gonna wait till after this series of videos, but I'm hoping it gets accepted, because it needs to happen, and it needs to happen now. Because I think, based on the fact that the barrage of videos that people been putting out in lieu of the Madden 25 demo, it needs to happen. And, it's a perfect storm. But anyway, let's get on to the last part of my video here, discussing the characteristics of the sin community. We've discussed roles. We've discussed what the main characteristics of the community are and how the community was formed. Here's the kicker for a lot of people. And a lot of people, this is what gets them. You know what I'm saying? We understand that it has to be a standard when it comes to defining who we are as a community. That standard sets the boundary of how far you can go as to what you are trying to say, or what your, let's just say, agenda truly is. A lot of people cloak, you know what I'm saying, behind the idea of sin and use it to their advantage. And that's stepping out of the boundary. I want to talk about the boundaries of the sin community and ultimately how they were broken and how that slowly but surely killed the sin community. You know what I'm saying? Without boundaries, first and foremost, the community becomes unfocused. Now, how did they become unfocused? The main focal point of fundamental football is lost. And then you start getting to other aspects of the game. You start talking about career mode. You start talking about online play, things of that nature. And if all these things are important, yes, because ultimately it's part of the video game itself. But we weren't brought to the table to discuss these things. You know what I'm saying? That's where the unfocused rests. And ultimately, the community gets unfocused and people don't know what the heck they're talking about. The second issue as pertains to the same community not having any boundaries is it becomes too diversified and uncoordinated. Now, what I mean by this, hey, we got to go with the ultimate example, y'all. The CM Standard. Now, when the CM Standard was created, everybody was happy. We all rejoiced. We all thought that, this is going to be the needle in the haystack. You know what I'm saying? That gets found and ultimately pokes the finger of the system, which is EA Sports. But I'm going to say something that, and like I said, this is how I feel. Take it for what it's worth, but this video is not about opinions and this, that, and so forth. The CM Standard let a guy in by the name of Shakedown. Now, we all seen Shakedown video. We all seen what type of content he puts on his video. Would I consider him CM? No, I wouldn't, but others may. That's a bound. That's going out of bounds. And because of that factor, the Shakedown factor, the community got watered down with people that really didn't understand what we were talking about. You know what I'm saying? So in the midst of us trying to have these discussions on fundamental football, people were trying to justify the actions of what EA was doing based on it not being fundamentally sound. You know what I'm saying? That's what happened. But once again, hey, that's how I feel. This is not a video based on opinion. Okay? Another thing without boundaries is, without boundaries, the senior community, it created tension between everybody in the community, and everybody formed factions. It was communities within the community. What's the example of this? Sam Heads United. The whole crusade led by J Music. But ultimately you have to go to, why did Jay do what he did? I mean, was it just him? Was it an opportunity for him to get where he was trying to get? I mean, what was it? You know what I'm saying? When you talk to Jay, and when you talk to so many other people in this community, why was it that when the stance changed, only a certain amount of people were able to eyeball it? Only a certain amount of people were able to spot it. Let's go back to the community being too diversified. The whole thing was trying to grow the community and this, that, and the third, and that's what you want to do when doing what we're trying to do as a group. You want to try to get the community bigger, but you have to do it in the right way. Based on the fact that you had, layers of bureaucracy within the community, people looked at CM as being this, while others looked at CM being that. And when the shift happened, people that saw Sam in this certain light went with it, and people that knew this wasn't Sam went the other way. And that's when the war happened. You know what I'm saying? It all goes back to the standard. If a true standard was set before any of this happened, we had a group called the CM Standard when there was no standard being upheld. You see the irony in that? It's like Moses and the Ten Commandments. And Apex might not like this, but this is my video. It's like Moses and the Ten Commandments. What if Moses got up on the mountain and said, hey guys, these are the 10 commandments. They etched in stone. God gave these to me to let y'all know what's going on. Can't kill, can't steal, can't do none of this stuff. But people went and did it anyway. You know what I'm saying? People getting killed in the street, people stealing from each other, having sex with each other's wife, just doing whatever. A year later, Moses get back on top of the mountain, say, "Hey man, well, you know what's going on? I got these 10 commandments here. You know what's up with them?" The guy come out and say, "Well, you know, I bashed a dude head, he brain dead, but I didn't kill him." Well, that's improvement. You know what I'm saying? Man, yeah, I was with my homeboy wife. You know what I'm saying? I had sex with her, but he did too. We both did. Well, that's an improvement, I guess. We getting there. I'll see y'all next year. And everybody go and keep doing their thing. God say, no, these are the 10 commandments. What are y'all doing? You can't do this stuff. You see what I'm saying? We have to understand what we are trying to do and what we want and what we're going to do until we get it. When you make a breakdown video, you know what I'm saying, and you just merely saying what you want and this is not here and this is what I would like to see, it's merely a suggestion. And that's putting the ball in EA's court. That's going out of bounds as to what this community is supposed to be. But I'm gonna end the video right there, man. Like I said, look out for part 2, where I'm gonna be discussing other matters of why the sin community is dead. But yeah, man, MD20. Like I said, share this video with everybody who's quote unquote in the community. Sam Headlines on Sam Heads United. Put your views up for what it's worth. Check in with me, man.